Welcome back. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper is attempting to distance himself now from the infamous Biden laptop and the letter that he signed calling it disinformation right before the election. Clapper telling the Washington Post now that he and 50 other former intelligence officers warned that the laptop could be Russian disinformation, accusing Politico of deliberately distorting the letter and what he said about it. Clapper sounded confident about his claims, however, back in 2020. Watch this.
To me, this is just classic textbook Soviet-Russian tradecraft at work.
Yeah. And CNN goes right along with it. House Republicans on the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees are once again requesting to interview the former intelligence officials who signed that 2020 letter, saying they knew better. Why would they lie on that letter right before a major presidential election? Joining me right now is South Carolina Congressman, member of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees. He's the president of the GOP freshman class, Russell Fry. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here.
Good to see you, Maria.
Are you intending to send a subpoena to go under oath for James Clapper?
I think all options are on the table. Look, Chairman Jordan has sent out letters requesting testimony. You know, I look at this and I'm just marveled at the gaslighting that goes on with the American people. Over 2 years have occurred since the election in 2020, and 11 months where the news media authenticated 22,000 emails that showed this is legitimate. But just now, all of a sudden, miraculously, they want to correct the record. I'm not buying it, and I don't think the American people are either.
No, I'm not buying it either. He was pretty sure that it was Russian disinformation. But look, this is a former head of national intelligence. He knew better at that time, right? I mean, he had to, given what he had access to. But he used his position as this big-time insider to stomp it down right before the presidential election. That's election interference.
Yeah, I have those same questions. I mean, look, if there was such a concern about the way that the media might have spun this letter, they should have asked for a retraction or a correction at the time, but they didn't. And here we are, over 2.5 years later, now trying to correct the record. You know, I think people are frustrated, and we saw this last week with the Twitter files, the nexus between both Twitter and the FBI. We've seen this classic case time and time again, and so I'm a little bit suspicious about the timing of all this, and I think that there's a lot of questions that the American people have, and hopefully they'll comply when they come in.
Well, look, our viewers knew better because they got the truth from the sitting director of national intelligence before the election. John Ratcliffe was then a sitting director of national intelligence, and he joined us in October 2020, right after that letter was published, and James Clapper signed it along with those other spies who lied. And here's what John Ratcliffe told us in October of 2020 on this program. Watch.
This is not part of some Russian disinformation campaign. The intelligence community has not been involved with Hunter Biden's laptop. Hunter Biden is a U.S. person, and he would be subject to any investigation regarding fraud or corruption would be rightfully the jurisdiction of the FBI. So the FBI has had possession of this.
So we knew the truth, Congressman, and yet people like James Clapper and others signed their name to try to confuse the American people.
Yeah, I think it's unacceptable. I mean, I saw a recent poll recently, Maria, that showed that 17% of Biden voters in swing states would have changed their vote if this story was able to get out. But obviously, we had the suppression of the story by Twitter. We had the letter by intelligence officials claiming that it was disinformation. And if you remember, and your viewers remember this, the Democrats and President Biden used this letter and they just trumpeted. I mean, Biden talked about this
That's right.
on a debate stage with President Trump.
Yeah, so did Hillary Clinton. Congressman, the other issue that's been suppressed in terms of truth has been the border. I understand that you and the House Judiciary Committee are headed to the southern border next week. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will be there on Thursday. We've got a New York Post op-ed recently that says Mexico outfoxed Biden on illegal migrants, writing that the Mexican government had been plotting to push this wave of illegal immigration as soon as Biden was elected. knowing that he would do nothing to stop it. Congressman, this is all in the Post, in this op-ed. Your thoughts on what you can accomplish now after 5 million plus individuals have been apprehended at the border, illegally breaching this country on Biden's watch. And that doesn't even include the gotaways, more than 1 million there.
No, look, I mean, you know, for the last 2 years, there has been absolutely no oversight under Nancy Pelosi's reign as Speaker of the House. And so it's refreshing that the American people actually have some oversight capabilities to look into some of this stuff. People are not immune to this. Every single state is a border state. We see the fentanyl overdoses, the record amounts of fentanyl being seized at the border. You know, we see the massive amounts. I mean, look, this past month was another record month for the Biden administration on illegal immigrants crossing into our country. And so part of these oversight hearings, one, is to highlight the problem for the American people, and then two, using that testimony, using the things that we gain from that to write legislation, to correct the wrong, and to force this administration to do their jobs.
All right. Well, we will look forward to those subpoenas that are likely for James Clapper and John Brennan, among others on that letter, Congressman. Thanks very much. We're watching your work. Russell Fry joining us this morning. Thank you, sir.